with that down, I want to get into my next topic. We're going to stick into the DC side of things. I thought this was a really cool report over the weekend where it states that Reacher star Alan Ritchson, of course, who has been probably the biggest fan casting, I think, of Batman that we've gotten so far for the DCU. Everybody's like, man, Alan Ritchson, he has the Batman built. Doesn't have the hair. I'm sorry, just doesn't have the hair color. I mean, that bothers me. Batman's not blonde-headed, okay? But it says, Reacher star Alan Ritchson confirms conversations with DC Studios. Is that for Batman? Ha! But quotations here, for a Messier role. So, I'm going to go ahead and read this article to you here. So, I'm glad. First, before I get into it, I am glad that the DC is going to scoop up Alan Ritchson. Alan Ritchson, of course, has been growing as an actor. Most people remember Blue Mountain State, right? But, he was in Titans, but then Reacher really solidified him. You've even seen him in that Ungentlemanly Warfare. He has a new movie called Playdate coming out. So, I mean, he's definitely growing as an actor. And, of course, with his stature being just a giant human being. And Reacher, if you haven't checked out Reacher's a good show as well. But I'm glad that DCU is going to scoop him up before Marvel does, right? It's inevitable, Marvel definitely likes to go for the big names. And especially with his popularity, make sure he doesn't come to the DC, right? So they'll snag him up, right? Same thing with Glenn Powell. Everybody's talking Glenn Powell for, different roles and stuff like that. But Alan Ritchson, he has made it obvious that he wants to play Batman in the DCU. Now, there was a report a few months back where it was saying, oh, well, he's talked with James Gunn, but it's probably not going to be for Batman. Which, hey, you know what? I wouldn't be pissed off if he was Batman. I wouldn't. I would be like, all right, whatever. This is what it is, But at the end of the day, I don't think he is the best choice to play the Batman in the DCU. I just don't. I think that you got to go with somebody who's, how I say it, someone has a little bit more grit to him, in a sense. But, however, so it looks like we're going to be getting Alan Ritchson in the DCU. However, who is that going to be? Instantly, before I get into the article here, instantly I started thinking, okay, what about Superman villain? What about the villain in Man of Tomorrow? Which we don't know who that is yet. What if it's a Booster Gold? Which I don't know about the Booster Gold deal. So, it's just kind of got you thinking. Bane, even. Can you not see Alan Ritchson as Bane? Holy shit, that would be awesome. I think there's talk about a Bane and Deathstroke movie. Alan Ritchson as Bane? That would be sick. But it's something a little bit more messier. Well, this report says here, it says, now it's official. The actor and studio are having conversations for him to step into the DCU. Speaking to Screen Rant to promote his latest film, Playdate, the Reacher star was asked whether or not that there was hope for him to join the franchise, and if he were joining it. If he'd be interested to play a hero or he'd step into the world of the villains. In response, Alan Ritchson revealed he is actually in conversations with DC, stating that he let the company know he was on the market for something messier and dirtier. That's pretty interesting. Now, this was, of course, his actual response. He said, yes. That conversation has been having with them, that I've been having with them is like, hey, I want to play somebody a little messier. And I told them, I said, if I'm going to do this, I described to them the kind of personality I'd want to play and what would mean in their world. And I think something everybody wants to see right now over there. So yes, I want to play somebody a little dirtier than your typical clean-cut protagonist. Now, the fact that the fact that he confirmed this, frankly, quite unexpected, as it is not often that an actor who's focused on so many fans' casts is given the opportunity to meet with the studio about a role, let alone the actor themselves openly talking about the matter. The prospect of someone as talented and versatile as Ritchson joining the DCU is an incredibly exciting prospect. Absolutely. Absolutely. So now it's got me thinking here. It's got me thinking. Batman is a messy role. That is a messy role, right? And it is kind of dirty. Batman is far from flawless, you know? I mean, the guy kind of messed up. I mean, think about it. Any human being who decides that they feel they need to dress up like a bat and whoop up on some bad guys, you know, a vigilante shit. You got to be kind of twisted. You got to have some sort of, you know, even though we commend somebody like that. Hell, if I saw somebody out there, I'm like, you know, and they're getting down the bad people, man, keep doing your thing, dude. But, you know, a messy character, Batman is very messy. But I don't think it's going to be Batman. To be honest, you know, I honestly think, it got me thinking here, Brainiac is a little too, Brainiac's kind of like normal build. To be honest with you, you know, I think would be a great Brainiac would probably be Michael C. Hall. Dexter. Come on. You know you can see it. You know you can see it. Michael C. Hall as Brainiac, that's peak casting, in my opinion. But it's almost got me thinking, because with the introduction of Salvation, you know, Salvation, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, you know, for any of you, you know, more fluent with that comic book run, you know, please let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong by any means. But I believe in Salvation, the comic Salvation run, you get introduced to like Warworld. Okay, and from my understanding, Warworld is pretty much ran by a man named Mongrel. Now, if anybody is unfamiliar with Mongrel, I'm gonna throw it up here so everybody can see. But Mongrel is just big. He's almost like the Thanos type of character in a way, like his stature, his look. That would be interesting, you know, especially with Salvation. Man of Tomorrow, does it have, I'm sure it has something to do with Salvation. I don't think they're necessarily going to go with, they're not going to go with a Doomsday yet. They're not going to go with, I don't think they're not going to do Steppenwolf. They're not going to do, Darkseid. Not yet, you know. James Gunn's already said they're not going to do Darkseid just because of, you know, the Snyder Justice League that was released, and, you know, so they're not going to go that route. They're going to go something different. Brainiac, Mongrel. I mean, those are just some other real popular supervillains for the on Superman side of things. So yeah, I'm pretty interested to see where Alan Ritchson's going to fall, but I am glad that he's in the DCU now, man. That's pretty fucking sweet. I would like to see him as Bane. I think Bane would be pretty cool. I think he's a little too big for Deathstroke, but, you know, you never know. So, I'm curious to hear what you guys think below. What do you think? What role do you think? Where would you put Alan Ritchson in a DCU? You go ahead and cast him. I say Mongrel, Bane. You know, I wouldn't be mad if he was Batman, but I don't want him to be Batman. You know, he's not my top choice, but... So, man, definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts down below.